Hi everyone, welcome back to CrochetRocks. This is my little Easter project and I'm making these little chick egg cozies just to go over either your normal boiled eggs or chocolate eggs, whichever you would like. So underneath the big one is a big goose egg, but it will do for maybe a Kinder egg size or a small little Easter egg. You can actually just tweak these and make them any size. I'll show you how to do that in the tutorial, make the smaller one and the larger one. And all you need to do is, with a darning needle, just make a little face, unless you feel even more adventurous and fancy designing your own face. Now I was going to do a whole barnyard full of these and have a little pig, a cow and a bunny with ears and everything, but I settled on just doing the chicks. But anything is possible. Once you've got the basic shape, you can add whatever you want to it. So I'm going to just pause the video in a second while I clear all this away, because I certainly don't want broken eggs on the table. So in the meantime, while you're waiting, just if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be informed when the new videos pop up. So I'm just going to pause it now and clear away my bits and pieces and get my tutorial ready to start. Okay, so it is a really simple little design, and as I say, even a beginner could tackle this, so that's no problem at all. And for this tutorial, I have used a 4.5mm crochet hook. You need a pair of scissors and some darning needles. Now you can use a scrap yarn for this, and I've got this lovely lemon. Now this was a very inexpensive yarn that I got from Pound Stretcher, and it's called Yarn Fair Tootsie. It works up really nice, it's lovely and soft, and it was a nice bright vibrant yellow. When I did my first one of these, I only had a very pale kind of peach colour for his little beak, but I managed to find in my stash some bright orange, and this is the larger one that would go over a Kinder size, so I just kind of darned it on, and I'm sure that most of you are better with darning needles than I am. So for that orange, I managed to find this, which I think I got in a Deramores mystery box sent to me, and it's just got my hair on it. It's just a Karen Simply Soft in this lovely orange, and you'll need the very smallest bit of black for the eyes. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it for 1 second while I position this camera and get going. Okay, let's get cracking, and there's no pun intended with the egg joke there. So we're going to start with the magic loop or magic ring. Now I do have a tutorial how to do this. It is dead simple. Don't be worried about it if you're a beginner. The way I do it is ridiculously easy. None of the wrapping around fingers. So you just take the yarn, a nice little tail on there, and you make a loop. You get your hook, put it through and just pull the yarn through, and then when you hold it, just do a chain. Now you've got your magic loop. It's done. It's simple as that. So if you need to, just rewind and watch that again. So this is, as I said, I've made two sizes, the small one and the larger one, and I'll show you how to just adjust it so that if you want to make it for a nice like medium-sized chocolate egg, then you can. So what I'm going to do is, now we're making this part, we're going to do, it's like the center of a hat, and I'm going to do 10 what we call in the UK half trebles, but they call them in the US a half double crochet. Nice and simple. You yarn over and go into the middle of the ring, so you're going over this what looks like a very loose knot, and you yarn over and pull up a loop, so you have 3 on your hook. So you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and it's as simple as that. So we're yarning over, going back into the same space, yarning over and pulling up a loop, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. So that is 2, and I want altogether 10. So we'll do them again with you, nice and slowly. If I am going ahead of you, then just by all means just pause it and catch up. And that's 4. I'll split the yarn there. So that's 6. So if this tail starts to get a bit short, you can always pull on it a little bit just to close that up, and then you won't have any problems. I think that was 7. So that's my 10. Now I'm going to pull on this just a little bit, just to close that up just a little, and then you can see your first stitch right here. I always cinch my chains, my turning chains down, so they can't be confused with a stitch. So just to make sure you can see where I'm going, into that first stitch through both of the loops on the top, you know, the V, through both, yarn over, pull it through, and then through the one on the hook, so you've got yourself a nice slip stitch. So I'm just going to pull on that and close it up. I don't quite know what that is, but you won't have that. It just seemed like there was a little bit of a fault in my yarn, perhaps. I don't know. I'll pop it through, out of the way. There we go. It's gone. Seems like I had a little bump on it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. And as I say, I always cinch it right down because I don't want it getting confused with a stitch. Now in that very same place that we have slip stitched into, we're going to do 2 half trebles. Remember, they're half doubles in the US, so I'm just going to go straight into there and do 2. There's my first. And there's my second. And then this is my next stitch. I'm going to do 2 in there. You can see the V's. So we're going to just do 2 in every stitch all the way around. So we're doubling. Where we had 10, we'll have 20. So that's nice and simple. And we're going to do that all the way around until we get back to the start. Show you again. Okay, so that's as simple as that, and I'm going to do that in every stitch around. At the end I shall have 20. I'm going to pause it and I'll come back to you when I get back to the start. Okay, so I'm all the way round and here we are, and you can see this first V here, and there's our second V. So I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch, and I'm going to be careful making sure that I've got both of those both sides of that V. So I've slip stitched in, and that is it. I've got my 2 rows where I've done an increase in every single stitch around. Now if you were making the big one, you would now do a chain and cinch it down, and you would do another increase row around, should I say. So with the next round, if you're increasing again, you do 1 in the first stitch, 2 in the second stitch, 1 in the next stitch, 2 in the next, 1, then 2, all the way around. So if you start with 1, you'll end with 2. So you are just increasing by another 10. We don't want to increase too many, but that's only if you want to do the larger size. You just do 1 more round and increase every other stitch, and just do 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way around. So now we're going to make the small one anyway. So what we're going to do now, we're going to change our stitch, and we're going to, so after you, if you did the bit larger one after you finish that round again, you change the stitch. So what we're doing is we're now pulling it into, I don't take any notice of that, it's just the inside. I'm sure you could do a much cleaner job than I have there. So we're going to make it so it was like a little hat really. So what we're doing now, we're not going to do any further increases unless of course, you know, you're doing the extra row. And if that's the case, just pause it and then come back to the video once you've done that. So now I've done my chain, I've cinched it down, and we're going to do a UK double crochet in every stitch around, or a US single, which is the same stitch. So we're going to insert into the same space that we've just slip stitched into, yarn over and pull up the loop, 2 on our hook, yarn over, pull through both of them. And we're going to do that in every single one of the stitches. You can just see all of the V's. So we're not going to gain any more stitches at all. Just do 1 in every single stitch. Simple stitch, just in, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Just need to pull out some yarn. Bear with me a second. Okay, so let's just get on and do 1 in every single stitch. It's much easier if you do it with this stitch, because when it comes to doing the kind of embroidery for the eyes and nose, it's simpler, because if you imagine you've got these, just like it's almost like a little box. If you had this stitch, then it would be harder to actually just go from one stitch to the other. It's simpler. Plus it's you don't really want it to be see-through in any way. It's just a little egg cozy. So we're going all the way round. Not if I go ahead of you at any point, then just pause it and catch up with me. Got hair there. I swear I don't know how I have any on my head, the amount that comes out. So yeah, piece of me gets crocheted into everything I make. My hair, that is. So I'm just speeding up so I can get to the end, but as I say, if I go ahead of you, then just pause it. Now what you want to do is make sure that you haven't got any more stitches than you need, so you can just count these V's all the way around, and then you know how many stitches you have. So that is it. I have 20 stitches. Now all we have to do, because sometimes it looks like you need to go into this, so it's always worth checking. Slip stitch into the first one. You can see those. Make sure you go in both loops and do your slip stitch. That's it. So we're just going to repeat that, and I think it was 11 rows. Let me just count them quickly. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Sorry, it was 9 rows. So we're going to do 9 rows of this stitch, and as you start to carry on, you'll see that it will kind of pull up. So let's get on and do that again, and you'll see what I mean. Let's just stay with it, because it can take long to get around. Very simple now to make this, and the big one as well as the small one, same amount of rounds. Just increase if you have a larger egg. You know, if you're not talking about a Kinder egg, you're talking about something bigger, then you can just do extra rounds. Nearly going all the way around, and you can see it's now starting to pull up. Looks like a little dish. That's what we want. Almost round. And I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so now we're going to slip stitch into our first stitch again, and now we're just going to pop it, make that bigger if you have to, pop it in the right way, because that's the back and we don't want that. Now obviously sometimes as you're working, this will pull out. When I'm doing this, I always crochet over it, but I do it in a certain way that kind of moves it around a little bit so it doesn't come undone. But I didn't want to confuse anyone, so that might start to come undone. Just pull it tight again and it will close up, but it will do that until the end when you can actually sew it in and secure it. So now we're working like this is now turned in. It might pop out again, but you can easily just put it back. So we're going to do the chain. I always cinch it down, go back into that same stitch and carry on for my 9 rows. So it's as simple as that. I'm going to pause it and I will come back to you once I have my 9 rows, because we are now just repeating those last 2 rows another 7 times. So you don't really need to see me doing that. So I'm going to pause it now, and I'll come back to you when I get to the end of my rounds. Sorry about that, just turned my fan off. So I've done 8 rounds and I think that looks good. I think it was 9, definitely 9 on that one. And I did 9 on one of these and I did 8 on the other. But I think once you look at it, you start to see what looks good in that particular, because sometimes they kind of look a little bit wider. And also, I don't know if you've noticed, but things like cream eggs and caramel eggs are just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you don't really want a massive one. If you wanted to make it even smaller to fit over those, you could. I can remember when they first came out, they were the size of eggs. Now they're the size of bantam eggs. They're tiny. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to do the border on this one now. So I'm just going to make sure that that tail from the beginning is tucked in there, just out of the way, otherwise it will get confusing. And I've slip stitched into my first stitch in the round. So I'm going to do my chain and cinch it down. Now this border I did start with, I did a few different ones, and when I did my very first one I did 4 stitches, and I found it does sort of flay out a little bit. If you like it like that, then by all means. It was just 4 stitches, and then I kind of just went into miss one and go into the next one. With this one I did it slightly different. I think I did my 4 stitches and then I did a slip stitch, but they both have the same effect. With this one it was a little bit too bulky, so this is slightly different, and this is the one I'm going to show you. So in the next stitch, not the one we've just slip stitched into, but this one, I'm going to do a US single or UK double, then I'm going to do a half double or half treble, and then I'm going to do another UK double or US single, just like that. So it goes raised, and then in the next stitch I'm just going to do a slip stitch. I'm just going to slip that one down, and in the next one I'm going to repeat it. So it's 1, we'll call them double because that's the UK term, 1 half treble, and then just the next one is a double. Obviously that's not what they're called in the US. So, oops, nearly lost it. I'm going to slip stitch into the very next one, which is there. It gets a little congested sometimes, so it's good to just pull them apart and see. So in the next stitch, we'll do it American this time. We'll do a single, and we'll do a double treble, and then we'll do another single. So you didn't feel left out. There you go. So in the next one, a slip stitch, and we're going to do that all the way around, and it gives you this little fluted edge. But because I've changed it up, it does look more of a little frill. Nearly said thrill, but frill. If you see this one, it's just, you can do either. They're both the same, but I like the way this one just sat, but you could sit it down if you wanted to. But it's just a personal preference. So you now know how to do both of them. The other one I'll show you quickly on here was, so we're going into the next stitch, you just do 4 UK doubles or US singles. That's all, just 4 in the same stitch. It does get quite congested. Come back up, and then in the next stitch we do our slip stitch, and that just makes that next stitch 4, makes that frill. I nearly said thrill again. See what I mean? It's quite congested in that stitch there, and then you just do a slip stitch. So you can do either, whichever one you prefer. I'll take it out and then you can have a little look. That's what they look like doing the short, the taller and the short, and that's what they look like. So normally speaking, I do this sometimes as a little wavy edge on my projects, but I usually leave a gap. I don't do it in the next stitch, but I wanted to do that in this so that it would have, because it does go like a little stand. Okay, so I'm going to undo those two because you can't have them all different, and I'm going to carry on doing my little frill all the way around, and I'll come back to you when I get back round to the start. I'll do one more with you because I did change it and that might be confusing. So how I'm doing them this time is 1 UK double or US single, 1 UK double treble or a US, no, the other way around, US double treble or UK double treble double double. No, oh my goodness, I'm getting my terms in a muddle. So then whatever that is, we'll do it, and then we're just going to do the smaller stitch again. We'll call them bigger stitch and smaller stitch because it's getting confusing. Okay, so we're just going to carry on all the way around, half double, half treble, remembered it now. Silly me. Go all the way around and I'll meet up with you when we get back to the start again. Okay, so I've made it all the way around and I'm just going to slip stitch into there and I'm done. So I'm going to leave a nice long tail to lose it in, you know, when I do my sewing in. So now I'm just going to do a chain, cinch it low and pull it through, and that's ended that, and I will just sew that in. So now we've got our little guy, and you can just pull him into shape so that he's got more of a rounded top. And it's time to do the face, so let's just pop that in there. It's going to get confusing with all of those, I know, but we just need a very small amount of black yarn threaded into our darning needle, and it's now you're just making a face. And so it's really however creative and artistic you want to be about this face. I've never been very good with a darning needle. So what I did when I made these was the first one. Oh, there. No, where is it? Oh, there it is. So with the first one, I just looked at it and thought, okay, so I think his eye would be about there and the other one there, and then I could go in the middle. So that's all you're doing really, is so when I kind of did that, I kind of counted a couple of rows into this. So I would say that his eye would be there. So I go inside and I just pop that through. It's really a matter of you decide where you want his eye to be. So I go into the very next stitch, nice and simple. We don't want to pull them tight, but we don't want them very, very baggy. And we just make his eye. Simple as that. Now you can go and do it twice if you want. What I would do is I turn it inside out, and I'm just going to tie this together so that it's not going to move anywhere. And as I say, I don't really want it to be tight. Let's get these, I've come round my tail. Let me pull that out. There we go. Oh my goodness, how did that happen? It actually went through. Let's remove that out of the way. There we go. Freedom. So just going to tie this into a very, not loose, but I don't want it coming out and looking like a loop at any point, but just right, so that it's not going to be budging. I'm going to do another one, secure that, just doing another little knot, make it tight. So if I turn it back in the other way, there you go, all fine. I knew I should have sewn those in. So what we want to do is we want to judge it the other side. So I've got 1, 2, I'm in the third, so that's 1, 2, I'm in there. So I want to come out of this stitch here. That's just how I judged it before. I've done them in a different place than the last time. So then I go into this one here, and I think this time it looks okay just going through once, but you can do it twice if you want to. It's not going to make a massive difference, but there we go, I'll show you. You can just about see the black through there, but it's not too bad. I think I might have come out slightly wrong. Never mind. Let's see if it makes a difference or not. I'm sure you'll be better at that than me. If I give it a little pull, it's the same. So there we are. His eyes match. So we turn it in the wrong way again, and we just tie that off. I'm going to pull the needle out and just going to tie it back to this again. Those tails are a pain. See, ordinarily this one wouldn't be there. I'd have sewn it in or worked it in as I went. Don't want to make it so that it pulls, but we don't want a baggy eye. And then we're going to concentrate on the beak. So I don't bother about sewing these in, obviously, because you'll see it anyway, and it's just on the inside. So I'll discard that. Turn it in the right way, and there's his eyes. They're not perfect, but I'm sure you can spend a lot more time and make yours much nicer than mine. So we're just going to pull out some of the orange. We don't need a lot. In fact, if you pull out too much, it just gets in your way. And again, we're going to thread that needle. And we're going to just make, and we've got one of my hairs again. I'm just going to make a triangle. So what I did is I just looked, okay, so this is where it's going to be. You can sort of see it's that far away and that far away. So here we go. Perfect place for a beak. But this one, I might need a little bit more, I don't know. There we go. Just go in the other way. Try not to trap that yarn again. And we're going to make it into a V. That yarn's not in the way, that's good. So come down and come out here. I don't think we're going to be able to do it that perfectly. I'm catching it. I should have sewn them in, or just chop them off. Chop them off. Where are you? Come out. That's it. Don't want you in the way. So there we go. Pull it down. What on earth is that? Is that my tail? How did that get in there? There we are. So we pull that, and then we just go into a V. And do the same at the other side. Go in, put it a little bit tighter. Go up to this one again. I'm in the right place. Yep. Thank goodness for that. Sorry if I went a little off camera then, but I'm trying my best not to get this yarn stuck in other yarn. So then we're just making a triangle of his beak. And that's actually not too bad. I think what the problem I had before, rather than leave it like that, where it looks okay as a triangle, I tried to fill it in. Just make it too bulky. So I'm going to leave this one kind of as it is. It looks good as a beak. So he's done. Turn him in the other way. You can play with it. You can even make a triangular beak if you want to. And be as artistic as you fancy making a face. You can even sew on felt face if you want. This is just a basic idea. Anyway, so there we are. That's done. Again, I'm going to chop that off. And all that remains is to sew in my ends. So what you've got to do is remember that this one needs to be tight. Because that you don't want his head coming undone at any point. And I don't know if you can hear those guns. They've been going off all morning. They shake the whole house, so you probably can. But they are annoying. But, you know, this is life. So I'm going to do a little knot to secure that by going through the same loop, pulling it. And then I just need to sew it in. Sorry if they're annoying you. They annoy me more, I can assure you. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can feel it rattle the house. Sometimes you don't hear them for a long time. But this morning, they've been exploding a lot of stuff somewhere across the water. So that's fine. That's buried in there now. Oops, throwing everything about. So doing really well here. So now I've just got this one. And that one, I'll do the same thing. Just bury it along that bottom edge. So it's up to you when you look at it, if you think that 8 rows is enough, or whether you want the 9th row. I was fine with the 8 on this one. Two of the others had 9, especially the big one that had 9. But it depends on the size of egg. So if you want the larger one as well, as I say, you just do an extra increase round. And if you need to do one for a very big egg, you can just do another increase round. And this is the moment of truth. And turn it in the right way. And here he is. He looks better than the others. I think every time I do one, he looks better than the other ones. But I think it's because I didn't overdo his beak. This one, you see, I kind of did the triangle and then just tried to fill in that bit in the centre. And I made his beak a little bit big, like a big nose. So now you just pop him on your egg. And I know it's like, there we are, I lift it up. Whoops. There we go. He's all done. And it's just a case of, you know, pop him into shape that you want. So I hope you liked that. I know it's just a basic little frivolous Easter project, but it's got quite a few little friends now. There they are. And the big one, where are we? Here he is. He looks huge compared to those, but he is for my goose egg. If you haven't seen my goose egg, here he is. Nice, humongous goose egg. And it's got a little cozy now. So thanks for watching. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now, everyone.